Guys, welcome to Hampshire Outdoors and Survival. Mickey here. Hope you're all feeling fine. As you can see, I am through the worst of the lurgy and I am now back at it. It is 2024, so let's push on forwards. So today's video is a prepping video. It's going to be a long one, I'm afraid, because there's a lot I wanted to get through and a lot of ideas and thoughts I wanted to share. So it's going to be a long video. There's some books at the end, so if you're interested in information, reading and how I get knowledge, skip to the end. It's all on there. Please don't just click out. Have a look at the end and hopefully that information's there for you. Guys, so this video is a prepping video. This is about food storage. This is about really how you build yourself 90 days worth of emergency food storage, the thought processes I go to, how I look at it and what I think about, okay, and also some of the things that I store. In fact, we're going to go through quite a bit of the stuff I store, why and how I store it, my thought processes. Now, yours are going to be very different. Everybody's food requirement, tastes, likes and wants are different, and everybody's catering and cooking skill sets are different. But have a look at mine. See how it compares. You might pick up some ideas, you might not. Anyhow, please like, subscribe, share. Yeah. Enjoy the video. Have fun. Stay safe. Let's get on with it. Happy New Year and welcome to Hampshire Outdoors and Survival. Mickey here. So today's video is a bit of a prepper video. Okay, now what I've got the various sections within my channel, so I'm going to start doing videos for the specific sections, which makes it easier for people to find the information they might want. So today's video is a prepping video and it is food in essential. What could you put by for an SHTF situation, whether it be looking at 24 hours, 48 hours, a week, month, 90 days, 3 months, okay? These are all things that are easy to put by, and one of the great things about building your store is it's simple, right? 1 or 2 extra items a week. 1 or 2 extra items on that shop. They don't need to be expensive items, and I'm going to be showing some of the alternatives and some of the methods you can go to. Now, one of the things you can do, obviously, is you can stock up on things like that. Meals ready to eat. Okay, 24-hour ration pack. Everything you need in there for 24 hours for one man. In actual fact, if you're staying stagnant, sitting in one place, and you're prepared to possibly be a little bit hungrier than normal, 2 people for 24 hours. Okay, because that is a lot of calories in there designed for a fighting man, very active over a 24-hour period. If you're hunkered down in your bunker, okay, you're not burning that energy off. So what you need to do is to reduce the amount of this you're putting into your body so that you can match up, or you're going to be doing a lot of press ups and running on the spot and sit-ups and that to burn these calories off. So I would say to you, if you're going down this method, okay, I would equate 24 hours worth of rations to 2 people. Okay, now means you're going to be a little bit more hungry. But again, in an SHTF situation, one of the things you're going to have to teach yourself to do is to go without. You know, in a good day, in the normal world, plenty of scoff. But if you're in an SHTF situation, you're going to have to learn to be hungry. You're going to have to learn to go without. But it doesn't mean starve. Okay, you're going to reduce your calorie intake, your meal intake, into what you actually physically require to get you by on the day, or you're going to demolish your stores. Simple as. So it means you're going to learn to be a bit hungry, okay? And for a tubbier guy like me, yes, that means suffering. That also does mean I've got a bit of body resource that I can use up. So we're going to go through these items in no particular order. Not all the items I've brought up here, otherwise I would fill this room with bits and pieces. And as you can see, the man cave's changed its format slightly. I needed to start sorting things out and putting things in places rather than it looking good on the wall, being a bit more practical for myself. So, originally I said top 10. I thought to myself, I'd do a top 10. But it hasn't really worked out like that. Okay, and these items are going to be in no particular order. So there isn't a top, there isn't a bottom. These are just the things that I tend to pick up and store, okay, in my emergency pantry. Okay, here we go. So let's start with some of the basics. So one of the things that we got in store, and I haven't brought them up because everybody knows what they are, is porridge oats. Okay, Kaz likes porridge. I don't mind a bit of porridge, okay? So I can find porridge a little bit, for me, a little bit bland, okay? But you can up it. So porridge as a starter for the day, or if you had to as a main meal, fantastic. Oats are very, very good for you. Got a high calorific value. You can make it with water. You can make it with milk. Now, you're going to say to me, milk, yes, but it's a shit hits the fan situation. We're not going to have cow juice. Well, you can have cow juice. You can store cow juice, so you can get things like UHT milk, okay, which has a fairly long shelf life. This one here is a sterilised milk, so that one I've had in the cupboard for 2 months now, and that is good to the 15th of the 5th 2024. So that's going to see me through till June. Okay, so that's a ready to drink sterilised milk. Okay, I know they're not the nicest, but if you've got nothing else, or you're using it to make things like porridge, using it to make meals, using it to make the bits and pieces to get you by, putting in tea, coffee and so on, great, full of calcium, okay, and great to put you by, that would do for 3 months. Now, you rotate that sort of thing, so you use it, you rotate it. So the other one you can go with is powdered milk. Okay, now that powdered milk there, I've been using for a couple of months, but that best before date on that is 17th of the 1st 2025. Okay, that's got a year's shelf life. The shelf life on that could probably be extended by a year or two anyhow, if you stored it sensibly, kept it sealed. But that's a powdered milk. Add it to a bit of water, throw it into your porridge, add water to your porridge, makes it a little bit more creamy. Okay, so whiteners and powdered milk's excellent way to go. Okay, I'm not going to go through all the vitamins, minerals and all the rest of it. So good old basic porridge, the humble porridge, and then you can add things to porridge. So if we're in a growing season, you can forage, you can put blackberries in it, you can put bits of sliced crab apple in it to give it some flavour. If it's the winter, you can put a bit of cordial in it, you can put a bit of honey in it. Okay, so again, it doesn't have to be a bland porridge. It's something that will fill your stomach. It's very, very good for you, give you plenty of energy, and you can adapt it. And I like those sort of things. Okay, and as I say, I'm not a big porridge fan, but what a brilliant survival food. Now, oats will store readily for donkey's years. Okay, you've got to keep them away from light, you've got to keep them at a cool temperature, you don't want them getting too hot, and obviously keep them away from moisture, so keep them sealed in their packs, pack them away, store them. Okay, and oats are quite affordable. So have a look, next time you're in the supermarket, have a look at the packs of oats and think to yourself, in a survival situation, would I fancy a bowl of porridge in the morning? And there are many other things obviously you can do with those oats, whether it be baking, making biscuits and so on. So where does that take me now? So that's a breakfast out of the way, let's say that. This is a breakfast out of the way. So we can then go with, if we're talking about dry goods, we go with the obvious ones, and you'll see on a lot of this stuff that I've dated it. Okay? That's its shelf life date, which if I'm storing it correctly and I keep an eye on it, and I can add to. The pasta, there you go, 8th 26. So that bag of pasta there, okay, contains within the calorie-wise, I should have thought about this before I hadn't written it down, but hey, there we go. Okay, per serving, So we'll just go with calories or energy. 1,218 calories within a serving. So again, great energy source. Pasta, I'm not a big fan of pasta, but again, you can flavour it up. You can add things to it. You can make sauces, okay? You can add herbs. You can add spices. You can add cheese. You can add a cup of soup to it, okay? So you can make it what you need it to be. So pasta, that's my next go-to, because out of all these things I'm showing you, probably energy-wise, the oats and the pasta are the two tops. They're the two number ones. They're going to give you the most for the minimum amount of effort and storage. And again, cheap packs. Buy the Simply stuff. Buy the affordable stuff, so you can have a little bit more. So you go, instead of sitting there and going, well, I've got a nice luxury pasta there, and that cost me a fortune, you could probably get a week's supply of pasta. Now, the other thing you've got to think about, on top of that, is you can get bulk pasta. So rice. Again, rice, 9th, 26th. Long storage date on it, okay? If you look after it and store it. Now, again, rice, you can add anything to rice. You can make it savoury, you can make it sweet. Okay? It's easy to do. You don't even need to boil it. Same thing with pasta. Okay? Something I learnt many, many years ago, if you're prepared to soak it and wait, you can do it cold. It doesn't come out quite as nice, I'll admit, and a cold meal is not what you want. But you can use it. Okay? You can soak it in water and it absorbs the water, rehydrates it over a longer period. So rice, pasta, you can add beans to this, you can add meat to this. Yeah, those are staple calorie, or 3 staple calories supplies that you can have. And really, they're what you should be looking at. Okay, you should be looking at your pastas, your rices, oats, purely and simply because of their ease to store, their ease to prepare, and their ease to use. Right. Now on top of that, when we're getting through dry goods, lentils, great source of protein. Okay, ask any vegetarian. These, lentils, all the jokes come out, but bloody good food to have in the store cupboard. And again, a small pack like that goes a long, long way. And you can then add that to your rice, your pasta, or anything else you want to do. You can even make a lentil soup. You could make a dal with it. So it has 101 uses. Okay, and it's easy to use. What I will say about your beans and your lentils, make sure you've read the instructions, because some beans and some lentils are going to require a lot of soaking because they can be quite toxic if not prepared properly. Okay, so if you're going to use them, or you're going to go to them, look into them, find out which ones you can use. These ones are easy. Yeah, soak and boil, and away I go. Okay. Now, my personal favourite. Okay, we all have favourites. Okay, and something I got brought up with, and I quite often, when I'm making a risotto, I'll use it as an alternative to rice. But pearl barley. Okay, I love pearl barley. Okay, and it's coming back to the oat and the barley thing. Makes a lovely risotto, makes a great additive to a stew, acts as a thickening agent as well. Lots of calories in pearl barley, and very, very good for you. You can also soak the barley. Right, soak it overnight, take the water, okay, add lemon, add a flavouring to it, and you're producing a barley water. Okay, now that was used as a restorative aid for hundreds of years. Okay, so good old barley has a lot of uses, but in a stew or a soup, or if you're making a risotto, yeah, pearl barley's the way to go. I love that stuff. I've got packs and packs and packs of it. So that's really covered my basics, my basic calories. Okay, those I store. Like I say, when I go shopping, I'll buy one, buy two, put one in the cupboard, put one away. Same thing with the pastas, and sometimes you see deals on in the supermarkets, where they've overstocked and they might be doing buy one get one free or whatever. That's the time to move. Yeah, have a bit of a bulk up. Think to yourself, I could really put some stores away there. Okay, and do it. Now, on top of that, other things that you can think about. They've got long shelf life. Okay, add flavour, and can be used for many things. Right? Simple things. Sage and onion stuffing. Okay? Doesn't sound particularly brilliant, does it? But a lot of us like our stuffing, and this stuff keeps for years. Okay? And is easy to prepare. You don't have to necessarily do it like you would your stuffing for a Sunday lunch. But at the end of the day, okay, you can add water to this stuff, rehydrate it. It gives you a nice savoury food source. Again, high in calories. Okay. You can add it to things. You can add it to meals where you've got minimum resources, just to give a bit of flavour, just to give a different texture. Okay. You can combine it with a soup. Okay, and thicken the soup right out to it almost becomes a savoury porridge. Doesn't sound the nicest thing in the world, but I tell you what, if you were starving, it would get you by. So again, like I say, powdered soups. Doesn't matter how you buy them. They were doing a deal recently, so I bought up a few packs of these. And in actual fact, while me and Kaz had COVID, we were pretty much down to these. Okay, that's all we really felt like eating, because then both of us were ill. We were stuck in the house together. Felt absolutely grotty. Didn't feel like getting up, making meals, but we know we've got to get stuff into us. So pretty much we were down to a cup of soups, bread, and that was it for about a week. Okay, yeah, kept us going. Did keep us going. It put something warm in our tummies, and it kept our bodies fueled. So on dry goods again. So another one that's worth stocking up on, and you don't have to buy this brand. Get the cheap stuff. If you're building your stores, get the cheap stuff. But these I absolutely love. Right, the Idah perfect mashed potato, instant mashed potato. Okay, whether you use the cheap or the expensive ones. Now bear in mind these expensive ones. Well, I say expensive ones. These more expensive ones are lovely. Got those in the pantry for regular use. You know, if I'm having pie, mash and beans, go to that. Yes, I've got some potatoes downstairs. Yes, I can make some mash. I had a drop of water. It's done. And these don't taste too bad. Some of the cheaper ones aren't so nice. But again, you're looking at a shit's hit the fan situation. Okay, are you looking at, you want to make it as nice as possible, but again, you want to get the stuff into you, and you want to make sure you've got that 90 days worth of food. So yes, you might be stocking up with cheap stuff, but you can improve it, and you can improve it by using things like clarified butter. Now, clarified butter, I'm going to come back to that in the oil section in a minute. But yeah, you can add that to it, makes it a bit more buttery. You can, where's my bag? You can add some herbs to it. A bit of Italian seasoning would make it nice. Okay, mixed herbs. Okay, so again, herbs, or even a bit of paprika. Okay, always got a bit of pepper, bit of Moroccan seasoning, bit of steak seasoning. So again, seasonings. Have the seasonings. So you can make something that's bland, like a bit of pasta or a bit of mashed potato. You can make it a bit more exciting, make it a bit more palatable. Make it into something you're going to enjoy. So if we're going to get on to seasonings, let's get on to one of the other essentials worth putting in the cupboard, worth thinking about. That's salt. Okay, you need salt. You need salt in your diet. Don't want too much, but you do need salt in your diet. Okay, and salt, your body craves it. You can add salt to almost anything, and you'll like it. Okay, it's your body craves it. Your taste buds go for it. Salts and sugars. Okay, your body wants. So a little pinch of salt in something, season it, will change it completely. Okay, so again, make sure you've got enough salt to get you by. The salt also adds up for other things. You can use it to make salted water. If you've got an injury, you've got something you need to clean out. Okay, salty water. If you're not no antiseptic or anything else, make up a good saline solution, good strong saline solution, and use that to clean out the wound. Okay, it helps. Every little bonus. So that I would put in the store. And again, shelf life on something like that, as long as you keep it dry, it's pretty much indefinite. Okay, that can store. Same thing with your dried herbs and spices. As long as you keep them dry, most of those will store indefinitely. Okay, so again, it's an added bonus. It's something that's easy to keep. Now let's get on to some of the other things. And these are what I call the additives. These are the things that, as and when I see a deal on them, as and when I see they're available cheaply, or I can get my hands on them, I grab them. Okay. Now these are all things with an extremely long shelf life, right? And again, best before dates are best before. Okay, they're not. You can't eat it after this date. Invariably, it's a best before date. So you can open things well after their best before dates. Okay, but be a little bit cautious. That's all I will say there. Okay, if it looks bad, it is bad. Bin it. Okay, if it smells good, doesn't look too bad, cook it well. You're not going to go too far wrong. So, things that I add to the list are cocoa powder. Okay, so again, cocoa powder, you can use that to make. You're doing a rice pudding. Okay, using the powdered milk, a little bit of cocoa powder, make it a chocolate rice pudding. Okay, you want to drink in the evening and you're feeling a little bit below the weather, have a hot chocolate. Okay, it's a simple thing. It's an additive. A little bit goes a long way as well, and it makes you feel better. Okay, if you're a baker, and again, back there in the dry goods, flour. Okay, flour stores pretty much indefinitely as long as you look after it. Okay, so if you're a baker and you're a keen baker, yeah, a bit of cocoa powder, bicarbonate soda, all the bits and pieces you would normally have in your baking, just get a couple of extra bits and pieces, have a look at the shelf lives, see how to store them, read up on them, find out a bit of information, and it goes a long way. Okay, and again, in a survival or a shit hit the fan situation, excuse my language, I should just say SHTF. In an SHTF situation, you're going to be looking at how to make yourself as comfortable as you can and enjoy it. You don't have to sit there and eat the same meal every day. You're not going to want to survive on just boiled pasta. Okay, you can. It's going to be miserable. You're going to start to lose vitamins and minerals because you're just eating boiled pasta every day. That brings me back to the next thing to stock up on. Right, vitamins, minerals. Okay. Now I don't really like these things, but if it comes to a situation where I'm limiting my food source, I'm limiting my resources, okay, that's what I'm going to stock up in. This time of year, I've always vitamin D supplements, okay? So, again, that helps to boost your body. What you're trying to do is you're trying to put back the things you can't get. You might not be able to resource, the shops aren't available. So by having those there, you just keep yourself that little bit fitter. That body of yours working in optimum condition. You're not going to go down with scurvy, you're not going down with a vitamin deficiency or a mineral deficiency. You're keeping yourself topped up, which then means if your food source is a bit more limited, balances it out. Okay. Now, other things you can keep for a long time, things like trail mix. Okay, so mixed fruits, nuts, bananas, all dehydrated in there, stores for an immense amount of time. Okay, can be eaten as is, can be added to things. You know, drop a handful of that into your porridge before you do porridge. Okay, especially if you soak it overnight. All the banana, the dried coconut, the fruit, and that absorbs the moisture, but it also releases flavour. Okay, and also bake with it. So if you're into baking, there you go. So again, things like trail mixes are a great additive, and don't be conned into buying packs of trail mix. Okay, so a pack of trail mix like that is £1.50, £2, right? More in some places. However, you can go and buy a cheap pack of raisins, cheap pack of sultanas, cheap pack of nuts, coconut flakes, dried banana, whatever you want like that. Make your own mix up, okay, and make it to your own taste. There we go there. So trail mix, again, and like I say, stores pretty much indefinitely. Okay, you're doing your rices, your pastas and things. and it's something not a lot of people realise, but tomato purees, okay, these have an immense long shelf life, okay, and tomato purees, a lot of flavour in a small package, okay, so it goes a long way, and just a tablespoon of that into some water to make a sauce, to a base to a sauce for your pasta, your rice, or whatever. Yeah, goes a long way. Okay. So that brings me to protein. Okay, you're going to need protein. We Most of what we've looked at so far has been calories or carbohydrates. So we're going to look at proteins next. So proteins, you're looking at nuts, beans, meats, and fish. Okay, those are really your four. Okay, and the best of that is fish. Then coming back to meat, then coming back to the beans, then coming back to the nuts, or possibly beans and nuts the other way around. But that's the way I tend to look at it. Okay, so you can have things like tin tuna, salmon, sardines, anything like that. Okay, absolutely brilliant. Okay, but not everybody's cup of tea. Fish tends to be a bit whiffy, shall we say? Okay, and not everybody wants to eat fish. It's not something that everybody enjoys. So again, although I've got a store of it, and again, just the small tins, they would pretty much the thing I would throw in my pocket if I was going off scavenging, shall we say, or foraging. That's what I'd throw in my pocket because she's not keen on it. Okay, and if you reduce yourself to living in a very small space, why have something that's going to make somebody else feel a bit rough? Right. So there we go. That's my thinking there. So meats, corned beef is a great standby, used by militaries for donkey's years. Okay, that one is shelf stable till 627. Okay, a tin of corned beef, 2027. Okay, a lot of years in that, and that's a cheap one, cheap brand. Yeah, so that's the cheap, just essentials. Okay, I think they were doing that for about 45p a tin at the time, so probably be a lot more now. But again, at the end of the day, corned beef. It's a protein source. It's meat. Okay, it's not everybody's cup of tea, not necessarily the nicest, but you add that to whatever else you're making, and that gives you a resource. One I can't, I hate myself. I don't like. I don't know. It probably goes back to being a kid. Maybe spam fritters. Okay, but yeah, spam. It's a meat source. It's a protein source. It's not the nicest. It's processed to buggery, but it has an immensely long shelf life. And if you're in an SHTF situation, it's a source of protein. Okay, you can mix it. You can put flavourings with it. You can add herbs with it. Cut it small. Cut it into cubes. Make a stew. Make a broth. Add it to a soup. There's a lot you can do with it to get you by. Okay, so there we go. Spam. So, and of course, you got things like your noodles. Okay, if you see your ramen noodles out there cheap, they're doing a deal. Bulk up on them. Okay, that's a meal on its own. One meal. Okay, that's one day. That's one day off your list. Done. Right, lots of calories in that. So let's get on to a few other things. So when we're talking about protein, tinned hot dogs. Right, and I know people are going to say to me, tinned hot dogs, they're crap. The junk that goes into their processed meat. They are, but the shelf life on that will see that tin there for another 3 years. And it's protein. And I'm not talking about the perfect world situation, no, I'm talking about SHTF situation. We're talking about, oh dear, it's all gone to pot. I've got very little. What am I going to get by on? What's going to keep me going? What's going to keep this functioning, keep cows functioning, keep us safe, means that we can get by. Yeah? And as I say, I keep coming back to 30 or to 90 days. 90 days, 3 months. Okay, my thinking there, if I can have enough stores for 3 months, 90 days, then that would see me through to January, February, March, foraging time. Okay, it's also good hunting time. It's also planting time. Okay, so You know, that's the way you look at it. Hopefully within 90 days the situation has sorted itself out. Hopefully the situation sorts itself out within 24 hours, 48 hours. But worst case scenario, you're able to just keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, so getting back onto proteins, beans. Okay, great source of protein, easy to cook, easy to prepare. Okay, be aware, like I said before, some beans you will need to soak. Okay, some of the kidney beans and things you need to soak. So read the instructions on the tin. If you've got something that needs to be soaked, get an indelible marker, write it on the top of the tin. Needs to be soaked. Right? Got to be thinking about these sort of things because there ain't going to be nobody out there to dig you out the poo if you suddenly make yourself ill. Right. So butter beans. Okay, butter beans, great resource. 240 grams drained in that. It's a 400 gram tin. Drain the brine out. Left with 240 grams of butter beans. Okay, looking at nutritional information here. So per can, we've got 107 calories, 0.5 grams of fat, 15.5 grams of carbohydrate, 1.5 grams of sugar, 5.5 grams of fibre, 7.1 grams of protein. Okay, it has a trace of salt. So that's not a bad resource. And it's, yeah, butter beans, bland as hell. But again, you've got your herbs, your spices. You can make a soup with it. You could add it to a soup. You could make a stew. You could make a broth. Okay, so beans, absolutely brilliant for protein. Absolutely brilliant protein. And compare that. Let's go back with the hot dogs. Right, hot dogs. And bear in mind they are just meat. Right, so that's 26 grams of protein in a tin of hot dogs. Okay. If we go back again, go to the corned beef, which is just beef, it's short beef. Okay, we have got 36 grams of protein in there. Now, we then come on to things like mixed beans again. Mexican mixed beans, let's have a look, what's the protein count of that? 6.8 grams of protein. Okay, so yeah, and 13.5 grams of carbohydrates. So beans, great survival food. Okay, now that's what my mate would call fancy beans. Let's have a look at a good old basic tin of Heinz baked beans. What are we getting from that? Okay, no. So tin of baked beans, we're getting 10 grams of protein, and we're getting 32.1 grams of carbohydrate out of a tin of baked beans. So carbs and your protein. That's not a bad balance. You know, going back to when I was a boy, beans on toast. That wasn't a bad meal, to be honest with you, for a growing lad. Okay, grams of protein in there. And again, even if it's something, like I say, even if it's something you don't like, you can chop it up small, cook it off. Okay, put it in something, add it to something. Okay, add it. Yeah, okay, it's an old recipe, but it goes back a long way. Right, mashed potato and pork. Chopped pork like that, chopped into cubes, small cubes, cooked in the mashed potato, lashings of butter or ghee because you're taking it from your stores, bit of salt, okay, a few herbs, absolutely delicious. Okay, we'll get you by, we'll fill you up. Then you got your tin veg. I'm not going to go into tin veg too much because that's just such a wide scope of stuff. But again, tin veg, things like tin carrots, tin beans, okay. These contain fibre, they contain protein. I mean, tin of beans like that's 2.3 grams of protein, okay, 2.3 grams of carbohydrate, and 5 grams of fibre, okay. Tin veg, can't go wrong with it. It's going to add texture, it's going to add flavours, it's going to add a difference. It means you can alter your meals about. Okay, makes a bit of a difference. You can cook it down, make a soup out of it. Same thing with the carrots. Okay, tinned carrots, cook it down, make a soup out of it. Okay, So at the end of the day, there's a lot you can do with it, and it's also going to add things. It's going to vitamins, minerals. Okay. I know they're tinned. I know they're not as good as fresh. Better than now. You're talking about an Shtf situation. It's going to get you by. One that I go for a lot for energy, sweet corn. Okay, high in sugars. 2.4 grams of protein, 2.5 grams of fibre. We're looking at 67 calories, very little in fat, but 9.9 grams of carbohydrate. Okay, sweet corn, tinned sweet corn, keeps for donkey's years. Again, can add it to a stew. You can, I'll eat it straight out of the tin, cold and raw. If you're going fishing, and you're fishing for food, sweet corn. Anybody that's not fishing with sweet corn is missing out. Okay, brilliant stuff. Absolutely go to. Okay, so that's again, it's a kitty buy. And last of the veg that's worth seeing, and I'm always seeing these cheap. And I loathe new potatoes. I don't like new potatoes. Not a fan of new potatoes. But again, we're not talking about what should we have today? We're talking about, oh dear, the world has gone to pot. We can't go to the shops anymore. What are we going to eat and keep ourselves going with? So, tinned peel potatoes. Okay, last for donkey's years. Spud, the good old spud. All right. At the end of the day, will keep you going. So, gone through that. Coming towards the end of my list, okay, some of the other bits and pieces you can pick up quite easily out there. Now, I picked these up a year ago because they came with a 2-year shelf life on them. And as you're aware, I do a lot of the boil in the bags and stuff like that. Okay, now these are going to be used. Best by date on these is for August this year. But things like that. Rusty, okay. Pick these up in Lidl's and Aldi's. Comes in a 4-pack, looks like a boil in a bag. You can cook it in the bag, can boil it in the bag, but what it's really meant for is tipping out into a frying pan or a skillet and frying up. Okay. Great shelf life on them, easy to store, easy to keep. Okay, good source of carbohydrate, lots of flavouring, lots of taste. One of Caroline's favourite is that one, which is potato and bacon. It's great. Stick it to a hot skillet, fry it up, but in a worst case situation, cook it in the bag. Okay, put it in a bag, put it in the boiling water. Okay, heat it through, cook it. It will keep you going. Now, some of the smaller items, and these are what I call bonus items, okay, and I nicked that from somebody else's video that I was watching, I think last year. He was doing top 10, 15, or top 15, and he has a list of bonus items at the bottom, okay, so that's what I'll call these. These are my bonus items, okay. Make your smile stuff, yeah, strawberry flavoured dessert whip, chocolate flavoured dessert whip, banana flavoured dessert whip, cheap, absolutely cheap, I think about 24p a pack, okay, but will make something, or give you something that's going to make you smile. Combine that with some powdered milk water, give it a whip. It's basic, it's simple, right? It's morale food, okay, it's a little dessert, it's a treat. You wouldn't have it every single day, but it will make you smile, okay. Another great one that is to put on the list for things that will make you smile, make you feel better, give you energy, okay, make you feel better about the world and have an extremely long shelf life. It's things like hazelnut chocolate spread. Who doesn't like a bit of hazelnut chocolate spread? Okay, if you had to, purely for energy, a spoonful of that might make you sick. Might be a bit too much for you, but again, you add that to things. Add that to a bit of rice pudding. Add that to a bit of pasta and milk. Okay, it goes a long, long way. Spread it on crackers. Spread it on biscuits. Use it in baking. It's a lot of flavour. It's a lot of goodness. It's a lot of energy. In fact, it's 85 calories per portion. So you're talking about a 15-gram portion, and that is a 400-gram pack. Okay, so it goes a huge, huge way. For me, tea bags, and I like the tea bags wrapped in foil, because again, sealed. Okay, these keep pretty much indefinitely. Right, so again, I've got a cup of tea, coffee. Okay, however you like your coffee, in a jar, store it, keep it out of sunlight. It keeps it indefinitely. Okay, if you expose it to sunlight, it starts to stale and go off a little bit. But again, even if you, I mean, people have said to me in the past, yeah, but it does lose its flavour and all the rest of it. Yeah. So 2 years from now, in a survival situation, that stale cup of coffee, that's the only coffee you're getting, you might as well have it. Okay, or you're going to go into sorting out your acorns. So, coffee. When you see a deal, grab it, store it, put it away. It's better for the summer, really, more than anything else. Yeah, lemon tea. Okay, I'm sterilising water. In this situation, we're going to be sterilising water, so we're going to be boiling water, we're going to be filtering water, and we may well be using chemicals to sterilise the water. And if you use any form of chemicals to sterilise water, okay, it's going to flavour that water, and you're going to need to get water into you. So if you've got things like that, you can add a bit of flavour to the water, and it takes away that of the chlorine tablet or the puree tab. Okay, now last 4 items here. Now the last 4 items some people call luxury items, and I don't. I call them essentials. Okay, these are things that are going to give you an immense result for their size, and we'll start with the most basic one: jams. Strawberry jam, apple jam, whatever flavoured jam you like. It's a massive amount of sugar, okay, with flavour. Now, if it comes to it, a spoonful of that every morning is going to keep you going, okay? But again, you can add that to things, make flavouring. Spoonful of that in your porridge for any of those in my generation, or even better still, a bit of Nutella in your porridge in the morning, stir it in. Oh, yeah, that was the way to start a cold winter's day as a kid for me. In fact, it was the only way my mum could get me to eat porridge. The next one, again, golden syrup. Okay, just pure sugar, pure energy. Okay, will keep you going. You can also use it as a preservative. Okay, don't ever confuse this stuff with honey. Honey is the Rolls Royce. Okay, honey over this stuff every day of the week. However, if you can't get honey or you're running low on honey, okay, golden syrup. And you can use that in baking, you can use that in flavouring, and again, add it to porridge oats. Okay, add it to porridge. A little bit of that in your porridge gives you a better. And again, of course, and I've got to thank my friend Stephen over in Ireland for this. Honey, right? That's my last jar, Stephen. That's, you can't go wrong with honey. Honey is an absolute superfood. Okay, now for energy, for first aid, for what it does for your gut, for what it does for your body, you've got to have a bit of honey. It's a natural antibiotic. Okay, so yeah, get that honey into you. And if you can get Manuka honey, especially if it's good quality 100% Manuka honey, that goes in my med kit. Okay, that goes in. It's a massively antibiotic supplement. So yeah, I'd use that. And last of the bonus items, okay, because you can add it to almost anything. You can add it to potato, you can add it to pasta, you can just have it on its own, okay, with a bit of soup, or a bit of soup with a bit of water and a bit of pepper, a bit of salt, okay. You can add it to absolutely anything and make a difference to what it is, okay, and that's gravy granules. Okay, gravy granules. Don't have to be expensive ones either, but gravy granules, you add that to almost anything. You think about it logically, add that to almost anything. It's a thickening agent, okay, and it's a flavour. It's a beefy, meaty flavour. Or you can have a chicken one, or you can have a vegetable one if you're a vegetarian. But that added to boiling water becomes a sauce. That added to whatever else you want. So if you're cooking your lentils, you're cooking your pearl barley, you're cooking your pasta, you're cooking your rice, okay, just before it's finished off, a little bit of gravy granules adds flavour, goes a long way to making it palatable and pleasant. So some other things that you really want to think about putting on your list of items, okay, for their uses in an SHTF situation is going to be, I made a little list down here for myself. Right, so pickling agents, preserving agents, okay, so cider vinegars, okay, brilliant for your gut health, absolutely brilliant. A little bit of cider vinegar every day for your gut health, absolutely fantastic. But also at the end of the day can be used in cooking and it can be used in preserving. Okay, pickling vinegar. Don't go drinking pickling vinegar as a. Use it for pickling. Use it for preserving vegetables, things you forage, things you collect. Okay, the way you go there. Alcohol. Okay, so strong spirit alcohols like vodka. And I'm talking the good stuff. Okay, at the end of the day are absolutely brilliant as preservatives. Again, preserving things like fruit. Okay, you can preserve almost anything you want in alcohol. Okay, the research is out there. Go and have a look at it. But also the other thing is in an SHTF situation, it's a great bartering item. Okay, alcohol you can use to barter, and again, even things like tin beers. Okay, can be used for bartering. It can also be used for making peace with people. Okay, have a beer on me, mate. Okay, so again, it's great. Beers also, if you've got flour, you start looking at beers. You can start making basic breads. Okay, if you've got a method there for making a very basic bread with a tiny little bit of rye in it, but adds flavouring. Stews, broths, you can add a beer to it. Add a beer to it, adds flavour, makes it nice. And if you think about all the ingredients we've got here, again, stews, got everything there for making a stew. Other things to add to your list: protein shakes and powders. Okay, we've all seen them. Bodybuilding stuff, yeah, great source of protein. Stores indefinitely, flavoured. You can make shakes from it. You can use a little bit of powder, a little bit of water. You're topping your body up. So protein shakes and powders, definitely way to go. One I've not shown on here and will go into my superfood list: peanut butter. Don't need. I'm not even going to go into that, but peanut butter. Problem with me and peanut butter: if I got a jar of peanut butter, it's open. I love the stuff, but a brilliant survival food. Nuts, any nuts that you can get, store. Have a look at the pack, see what the shelf life is. Look into how you store them. Okay, our ancestors used to collect them, store them in bags, put them in a dark place, keep them for donkey's years. Okay, so any form of nut, the nuts of your choice. If you can get them cheap enough, worth storing. Jerky. Jerky in the UK is very expensive for what you're getting. However, if you can make your own jerky, okay, and might even do a video on that later in the year, it's the way to go. If you've got a dehydrator, you can start making your own jerky now and storing your own jerky. Okay, and at the end of the day, jerky, great source of protein, keeps you going. It's not everybody's cup of tea. I know some people say, I hate the stuff. It's like eating leather. Yeah, it is. But again, it's protein source, and jerkies would be cut into cubes and slices, either eaten as is, or it could be added to a stew. It could be added to a liquid, rehydrated. Okay, where to go now? Oils. There are many types of oil out there. What you've got to do is do your research. Okay, now my go-to for oil is pretty much clarified butter, because it's got so much scope for usage. Okay, and clarified butter will last for donkey's years, has an immense shelf life on it. However, if you don't want to do that, you can go with things like olive oil. Okay, and again, if you look after it, store it sensibly, it does have a fairly long shelf life. But look at your oils, look at what the shelf lives are, and look at whichever one you choose to use, because it's a get into a world of arguments with people over oils. But whether it's rapeseed, whether it's sunflower, the oil of your choice, have a look at it, do your research on how to store it. But oil, got to stock up on your oils, you're going to need them. Okay, so anything else I can think of from that list there? No, not really. I think I've pretty much covered the basics for the what I would call cheap and affordable storage. And again, a lot of these things, buy them when they're on deals, right? store them, buy the cheaper brands. And again, because you're building your cupboard, if you go to build your emergency cupboard, don't necessarily build it with things that you really like, because you're going to be constantly dibbing in and picking at it. Build it with staples, basic staples, right? Stuff that you know, well, if push comes to shove, yeah, I don't mind a bit of soup and a bit of pasta mixed together to make a saucy pastry dish. Yeah, it's not my favourite thing, but I'd eat it and I'd be happy enough eating it. So that's the thought process. Whereas if it's something you've got in a cupboard where you're thinking, oh, I've got that in the cupboard, it's not going to last 5 minutes, is it? Other things you can add: cake mixes, bread mixes. Okay, if you're not a baker and you're not that keen on baking, or you're not don't think you've got much in the way of skill, right? You can buy the bread, yeah, pre-mixed bread, flour, everything's all in there together. You literally add it to a bowl of water, combine it, let it sit, rise, and all the rest of it. You know, it's sort of like the easy breads. And same thing with instant baking stuff. Okay, if I see a deal on things like instant brownies, Aunt Bessie's instant bake whatevers, I'll grab a couple if they're cheap enough, because again, it's another easy food source. Okay, we will cover infrared ovens on another video. So on top of all that knowledge, so you one other thing I will say to you, and this is an essential. Okay, I wasn't going to include it because I was going to put it into the medical side of things, but thinking about it, actually it fits in with this. Okay, nothing worth stocking up on: toothpaste. We're covering food, dental hygiene. Stock up on your toothpaste. Okay, it's something people forget about all the time, but again, if you're in a severe situation and you get toothache, you ignore these. Toothache will drag you down completely. Alright, will absolutely destroy you. Alright, so again, if you're going to think about your food, think about your dental hygiene. Okay, think about toothbrushes. Have a few toothbrushes put on store. You don't know how long it's going to be before you can get another toothbrush, and toothpaste. Okay, and if push comes to shove, it's minty. You can add it to stuff, give a bit of flavour to something. Yeah, don't know. Anyhow, so on top of that, okay, other things to have to hand to your mind. Okay, so again, information and knowledge. So you get books like that. Right, nuts and grains, well, grains, beans and nuts. Okay, now my mum gave me that. It's quite an old book, and it's a book of recipes and information on grains, beans and nuts, and it's that book there, which I'll hold up again. I could absolutely recommend to anybody out there that's interested in survival. Okay, because this covers so many different recipes and information about these, not just in what you can actually buy, get, store, but what you can forage. Okay, so this is where I got my information on things like acorns. So yeah, that book there, David Scott, Grains, Beans and Nuts, well worth having in your prepper library. Do excuse that, that was a notification coming up. So that's another one. Collins Nature Guide, Food for Free, which it may be. Okay, it's another great little book, right? That's small enough to stick in your pack. Okay, carry with you. You see something, or you're going to look for something, it will give you the information that you require. Again, if you're suddenly sitting there thinking what's available at this time of year, you can sit there and look through the book and go, cool, what have we got available? And it'll give you the information on what's available. Okay, and again, it's an identification guide, but make sure you identify accurately. If you're in doubt, leave it out. Okay, simple as. You've got that one. You could also get it in a pocket gem, which is a lot smaller. Years ago, the pocket gems were my go-to. As you can see, that one's been well thumbed. But the downside of that is I'm getting a bit older and a bit more long in the tooth. My eyes aren't quite so accurate, so I've upgraded to a slightly larger model, and you know, it's all the information that you require in a nice little book. So yeah, that might be, yeah, going on to somebody else at a later date. Another one, Collins Guide, mushrooms and toadstools, and as I've always said on the channel, we don't go into that too much on the channel, purely simply I don't want to give somebody advice they misidentify and eat the wrong thing. Okay, it's not good. And again, as I got for Christmas, and this is my new favourite foraging book. I've got many books on foraging, and a lot of them I find quite dry. You know, it's literally statistical, quite boringly written. You know, this is the toadstool brown, 4 inches high with gills underneath, and yeah, and you sit there, you start reading through it, and you're like, it's dry. Okay, these people who've written this book, it has, I'm blown away with it. So much energy in the book. It's so much information. It's written by people, and the guy has a channel. Yeah, it's so much enthusiasm and correct information. Okay, it's really, really, really worth having a look at and getting, and that's the knowledge to forage. Okay, and as it says there, edible plants and trees, recipes, herbalism, soaps and dyes, mythology and folklore, and also lists poisonous plants. The reason it lists the poisonous plants is because if you can identify the poisonous plants as well as the ones that you want to eat, you're keeping yourself safer. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. The guy, I'll see if I can find it in here, and I'll do a link to it. Right, if you're looking for his YouTube channel, it is called Home is Where Our Heart Is. Yeah? Home is Where Our Heart Is. That's their YouTube channel. That's how I originally found them. Okay? Yeah. Guys, definitely worth a look. Right, dive over to the channel. Tell him I sent you. He won't even know I am. Anyhow, so that is just a look at prepping. Prepping food for an SHTF situation, my thoughts and processes. Yours are going to be different because you're going to have different tastes. But what I will say to you is have a look, think about it. Anybody can do this, and it doesn't take a huge amount of money, right? It is add an item every time you go shopping. Bag of rice like that, 2 or 3 days worth of food in an emergency. Okay, probably a bit more in actual fact. Probably a week. Okay, rice, boring, but it would keep you going. A pack of pasta like that for me and Kaz, yeah, probably 3 to 4 days. Oh, hang on, that's nearly 2 weeks just in that lot there. And that's how the process goes. An extra tin of beans. Doesn't have to be Heinz, get the cheap ones. Okay. Oh, they're doing a deal on corned beef, and so on. And eventually, before you realise it, okay, you're looking at your emergency cupboard and you're going, do you know what, I can get by for a month. Hello, I can get by for 2 months. Hello, I can get by for 3 months. And this is where you've got to rationalise it a little bit. You could keep going. You can keep going to the point where you've got 25 years worth of food. Do you really need 25 years worth of food? You've got to be practical about what you're putting by, how much you can store, how much you require. Okay? Do you want to be feeding the masses? Okay? Are you in a long-term situation, and if it became an end game situation, this is you're going to put enough stuff by to be able to get yourself to a point where you become or start living naturally within the world, i.e. you're going to return to growing your own food and veg, You're going to go to keeping chickens, you're going to go to keeping livestock, you're going to go to natural farming, small holding, that sort of thing. You're going to go back to what our relatives did even 100 years ago. Okay, and they survived. So there we go. That's just my thoughts and processes. I hope this video helps. I hope it's not too long-winded. I hope it's not too boring. It is an hour-long video looking at this at the moment, so I'm going to have to do some editing, I reckon. Or I might just stick it up as an hour-long video yeah, I'm going to stick it up as an hour-long video for those of you that might want to watch it all the way through. If you've got a long, boring night, it's something to watch. Guys, stay safe, stay secure. Have you the videos that are just to open up your minds and your thoughts to the process. Okay, see where you go with that. This is Mickey, Hampshire Outdoors and Survival and the Hampshire Hog Hunters. This is one of our prepping videos. Guys, love those you do, forgive those you don't, and if you fancy it, join us on a Sunday night, 2000 hours for our live stream at Sunday Social. But more than anything, peace and light be on you all. Till next time.